So you've done everything right. You spent weeks researching. You compared models, read forums at midnight, watched every review video on YouTube, test drove 3 different cars, and finally, you walked into that dealership knowing your number. You were prepared, you felt confident, maybe even a little proud of yourself. And then you signed the paperwork. And somehow, the monthly payment was $200 more than you planned. The total out-the-door price was $4,000 higher than the sticker. And you're sitting in the parking lot of the dealership in your brand new car, smelling that intoxicating new car smell, telling yourself it's fine, even though something in your gut is saying, wait, how did that happen? That feeling? I know it intimately. My name is Marcus, and I've spent the better part of the last decade obsessing over personal finance, consumer psychology, and, honestly, the fascinating, slightly uncomfortable ways that large institutions are specifically designed to separate regular people from their money before they even realize it's happening. I'm not cynical about it. I just think understanding the game is the first step to actually playing it well. And the car dealership? It might be the most perfectly engineered financial environment ever built. Every detail, the lighting, the layout, the pacing of the conversation, the way the finance office appears at just the right moment when your guard is down, it all serves a single purpose. And today, I want to pull back the curtain on the 7 costs that dealers genuinely hope you'll never think too hard about. Because once you see them, you can't unsee them. And the next time you walk into a dealership, you'll walk in differently. Let's start with one that sounds completely legitimate because, honestly, it kind of is. But not in the way dealers present it. The destination charge is the fee for shipping the car from the factory to the dealership. It shows up right on the window sticker, usually somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 depending on the vehicle. Ford charges it. Toyota charges it. Every manufacturer does. So you think, okay, that's real. That's fixed. That's just part of the cost. Here's the thing, though. That charge is paid by the dealer to the manufacturer. It is not, technically, a pass-through cost that you are legally obligated to pay separately. Dealers list it as a line item to make it feel like a tax or a government fee, something immovable. But it's really just part of the car's total cost, and in a negotiation, everything is on the table. Think of it like a restaurant adding a kitchen maintenance fee to your bill. Sure, they have to maintain the kitchen, but you'd probably raise an eyebrow if it showed up as a separate charge, right? The takeaway here is simple. When you're negotiating the price of a car, don't let the dealer anchor you to the sticker price plus destination as 2 separate, non-negotiable figures. The whole number is the number. Negotiate the whole number. This one is, I think, the single most costly hidden expense for average car buyers, and almost nobody talks about it clearly enough. Here's basically how it works. When you finance through the dealership, which most people do because it's convenient, the dealer acts as a middleman between you and the actual lender, whether that's a bank or a captive finance company. The lender tells the dealer, "We'll approve this customer at 5.9%. The dealer then quotes you 7.9%. That 2% difference? That's called the dealer reserve, and it goes straight into the dealership's pocket. You never see it. It's not listed anywhere. It just quietly inflates your interest rate and costs you, depending on the loan amount and term, anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s over the life of the loan. Now, I want to be fair here. Not every dealer does this aggressively, and there are regulations in some places that cap how much they can mark up. But the practice is widespread, and the mechanics of it are almost never explained to buyers. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. Get pre-approved by your own bank or credit union before you step foot in the dealership. Know your rate. Then, if the dealer offers financing, you can compare it honestly. Sometimes dealers get genuinely competitive rates from their lender relationships, especially during promotional periods. But you'll only know that if you have your own number to compare it to. Walking in pre-approved is honestly one of the single most powerful things you can do at a car dealership. It shifts the entire dynamic of the conversation. You know that second sticker sometimes? The one placed right next to the manufacturer's window sticker, usually on bright yellow or white paper? That's the dealer add-on sticker. And it is a masterpiece of creative accounting. It might list things like nitrogen-filled tires, $299, fabric protection, $399, paint sealant, $499, VIN etching, $299, and a market adjustment fee of anywhere from $500 to $5,000, depending on how in demand the model is. Let's take each of these apart quickly. Nitrogen in tires is slightly better than regular air in highly specific conditions, like racing conditions. For normal driving on normal roads, you will not notice a difference. Regular air is already 78% nitrogen. This is, essentially, a fee for nothing. Fabric protection and paint sealant are often products that were applied to the vehicle before it arrived or that you could buy at an auto parts store for $40. VIN etching costs almost nothing to do and is presented as a theft deterrent. And market adjustment is simply the dealer charging more because they can. Now, and I want to be honest here, some of these charges are actually negotiable or removable. The dealer has already paid for the nitrogen. They're not going to deflate your tires if you refuse to pay for it. You can push back, and often they'll drop it or discount the package significantly. The key is to identify these before you're in the finance office, when you're tired and relieved and just want to drive home. Ask to see all fees and add-ons before you start talking numbers. Get the out-the-door price in writing early. The finance and insurance office. The F&I manager is, without exaggeration, one of the highest paid people in the entire dealership, and they earn it, not through salary, but through commission on the products they sell you in that little room after you've already agreed on the car price. By the time you get to the F&I office, you've been at the dealership for hours. You're mentally exhausted. You've made the big decision. Your guard is down. And now someone sits across from you with a laminated menu of products and presents them one by one as things you'd be foolish to skip. Extended warranties, gap insurance, tire and wheel protection, key replacement coverage, paint and interior protection bundles, credit life insurance. Each one sounds reasonable in isolation. Each one is presented as protecting your investment. Here's what I want you to sit with, though. The profit margin on these F&I products is enormous. An extended warranty that costs you $3,000 might have a wholesale cost to the dealer of $800. Gap insurance through a dealer can cost twice or three times what the same coverage costs through your own auto insurer. These aren't inherently bad products. Some of them, like gap insurance on a low-down payment purchase, are genuinely useful. But the pricing and the context in which they're sold are not designed for your benefit. My honest advice, don't make any decisions on F&I products in that room on that day. Ask for a list of everything they're offering, take it home, and research each item separately. Can you get gap insurance cheaper through your current insurer? Almost certainly yes. Is the extended warranty from the dealer the best option? Or does a third-party warranty company offer similar coverage for less? Often it does. The F&I office is not a sprint. You don't have to decide everything before you leave. A reputable dealership will let you add coverage later. Every dealership charges a documentation fee, sometimes called a doc fee or a processing fee, for handling the paperwork associated with your purchase. Title transfer, registration, filing, administrative stuff. The thing is, this fee varies wildly. In some states, it's regulated and capped at, say, $150 or $200. In others, dealers can charge whatever they want, and some charge $800, $900, even over $1,000 for paperwork. Now here's the uncomfortable reality. In many states, dealers are required to charge every customer the same dock fee, which means it's technically non-negotiable. They'd have to charge you less than other customers, which creates legal complications. But, and this is important, you can factor it into your overall negotiation on the car price. If the dock fee is $700 at dealership A and $200 at dealership B for the same vehicle, that's $500 that should absolutely influence which dealer you buy from. Research the typical dock fee in your state before you shop. Some states post this publicly. Knowing what's normal versus what's excessive lets you negotiate around it intelligently, either by getting a better price on the car itself or by simply choosing a different dealership. Okay, this one is a little more subtle, and honestly, I find it kind of fascinating in a depressing way. When a dealer calculates your out-the-door price, they include estimated sales tax and registration fees. These are real costs. You do have to pay them. But the word estimated is doing a lot of work in that sentence. In some cases, dealers will slightly overestimate tax or registration, collect the excess from you at signing, and then, quietly, keep the difference rather than refunding it. Is this universal? No. Is it common enough to be worth knowing about? Absolutely. Additionally, how taxes are calculated can get complicated when trade-ins are involved. Some states allow you to pay sales tax only on the difference between the new car price and your trade-in value, a genuine saving. Other states don't offer this. Dealers don't always volunteer this information, especially if clarifying it would reduce what you owe. The actionable move here: ask your state's DMV website or a quick Google search what the sales tax rate is on vehicle purchases and what the typical registration fees are for a vehicle at that price point. Do the math yourself. Compare it to what the dealer's paperwork shows. It takes 10 minutes and can reveal discrepancies you'd have never caught otherwise. This last one isn't a fee exactly. It's more of a structural negotiation trap, and it might be the most psychologically clever thing on this entire list. Here's the scenario. You have a car to trade in. You mention it early in the conversation. The salesperson gets excited, takes your keys, and while you're test driving the new car, someone in the back is appraising your vehicle. By the time you sit down to negotiate, the dealer has the ability to play two numbers against each other, the new car price and the trade-in value, in ways that are very hard to track simultaneously. They might give you a fantastic trade-in value and be totally inflexible on the new car price. Or they might dramatically negotiate down the new car price while quietly reducing what they offered on your trade. The numbers look good on paper, but the total deal hasn't actually moved in your favor. The simple, elegant solution? Separate the transactions. Negotiate the new car price completely in writing before you ever mention you have a trade-in. Get that price locked. Then introduce the trade-in as a separate conversation. This forces each component of the deal to stand on its own. It removes the shell game entirely. And before you go to the dealer, get your trade-in appraised independently through CarMax, Carvana, or a similar service. They'll give you a written offer that's often valid for 7 days. That number becomes your floor. If the dealer won't beat or match it, you sell your car there instead and bring cash to the dealership. Simple. Clean, no games. So let's land this plane. Buying a new car is, for most people, the second biggest financial decision they'll ever make behind buying a home. And yet the process is set up in a way that systematically disadvantages the buyer, through timing, through information asymmetry, through exhaustion, and through the quiet accumulation of fees and markups that individually feel small but collectively add up to thousands of dollars. The destination charge that feels fixed, the financing markup you never see, the add-on sticker with its creative line items, the F&I office and its high-margin products, the dock fee that varies by hundreds of dollars between dealers, the registration estimates that aren't always what they appear, and the trade-in trap that turns your leverage into a liability. None of these things require you to be an expert to navigate. They just require you to know they exist. That's honestly most of the battle. Just knowing that the game has these specific moves in it, so that when you see them, you can respond instead of react. And I want to say something before I wrap up because I think it matters. This isn't about distrusting every person you meet at a dealership. There are genuinely good salespeople and honest finance managers out there who will work with you fairly. The system has these structures baked in, but the individuals within it are still people, and approaching the conversation with informed confidence rather than suspicion tends to produce much better outcomes for everyone. You deserve to buy a car at a price you fully understand. You deserve to know what every line item on that contract actually represents. And you deserve to drive home in that new car without that quiet, nagging feeling that something slipped past you. Now you're ready, go get it. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe to this channel. See you in the next one.